Good day everyone. Today I will be discussing about solving quadratic inequalities prepared by Rufame Pidukay. So, let's proceed. So, quadratic inequalities. It is an expression that can be expressed in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c greater than 0, or the same quadratic expression with the inequality symbol less than, greater than or equal, less than or equal, or an equal sign. So we'll have steps. Move all the terms in one side of the inequality. Second, express the quadratic inequality into factored form. Next, find the critical numbers. Fourth is make table of signs. And lastly, make number line and check each solution and interval. So we'll have the example 1, which is solve x squared minus 10x plus 24 greater than or equal to 0. So using the step 1, since it is already combined with the quadratic terms, we'll have x squared minus 10x plus 24 greater than or equal to 0. In the step 2, we factored it out, and the result is the quantity of x minus 4 times the quantity of x minus 6 greater than or equal to 0. On the step 3, in x minus 4 greater than or equal to 0, we'll have x greater than or equal to 4. And in x minus 6 greater than or equal to 0, we'll have x is greater than or equal to 6. So the critical numbers we have are 4 and 6. So in the step 4, we'll have the table of signs. In the first column, we'll have the factors, which are x minus 4, x minus 6, and the last row will have the product of the factors, which is the quantity of x minus 4 times the quantity of x minus 6. So in the intervals, we have the first interval we have is negative infinity and 4. The second we have 4 and 6, and the third interval we'll have 6 and the positive infinity. So we'll have to find the signs and the intervals using the factors. So in negative infinity and 4, if we use 3 to be substituted in x minus 4, we'll have negative. While if we use it in x minus 6, we'll have negative. And the next interval, which is 4 and 6, if we use 5 as the test point in x minus 4, we'll have the result positive. And if we substitute it in x minus 6, we'll have the negative. And the third interval, which is 6 and the positive infinity, if we use 7 as the test point in x minus 4, we'll have positive. And if we use it in x minus 6, we'll have positive. So if we find the product of the signs, we'll have the negative times the negative will have positive. In the second interval, we'll have positive times negative. The result is negative. In the third interval, we'll have positive times positive is equals to positive. So the solution set for the quantity of x minus 4 times the quantity of x minus 6 greater than or equal to 0 is negative infinity and 4 and positive 6 and the positive infinity, since the product of the factors is negative. We'll use the table of signs to know what interval to use in graph. So we have the final answer will be all points in negative infinity and 4, or 6 in the positive infinity. So the whole solution set can be written as the union of negative infinity and 4 and 6 and positive infinity. We use bracket in beside 4 and 6 since we're having greater than or equal inequality sign, and this means that we have to include 4 and 6 as the test point. So we're using close interval. So the next example will have solve 2x squared minus 5x less than 3. So we'll have the solution. The first is 2x squared minus 5x minus 3 less than 0. We have this because we combine all the terms as what we have read in the step 1. Next is we factored it out and we have the result quantity of 2x plus 1 times the quantity of x minus 3 less than 0. So next we have to identify the critical numbers. In order to identify critical numbers, we'll have to find the value of x. So here 2x minus 1 less than 0 will have x less than negative 1 half, and in x minus 3 less than 0 will have x greater than x less than 3 rather. So the critical numbers are negative 1 half and 3. So we'll now have the table of signs, which is 2x plus 1 and x minus 3 in the factors column, and next is in the intervals we'll have the negative infinity and 1 half, the second will have negative 1 half and 3, and the last interval will have 3 and the positive infinity. So we'll have to find the signs in 2x plus 1 and the interval negative infinity and negative 1 half will have negative, and while in x minus 3 will have also negative. The second interval will have positive in negative 1 half and 3 and the factor 2x plus 1, and on the x minus 3 we'll be having negative. The last interval, which is 3 and the positive infinity, in 2x plus 1 we'll have positive, while in x minus 3 we'll have positive also. So if we find the product of the signs and intervals, the first interval will have negative times negative is equals to positive. In the second interval we have positive times negative will have negative. On the third interval we'll have positive times positive is equals to positive. So we have now the solution set for quantity of 2x plus 1 times the quantity of x minus 3 less than 0 is negative 1 half and 3, since the product of the factors is negative. So we'll be having this graph. It is an open graph because we're only having a less than sign, and this means that we don't need to include the points negative 1 half and 3. Thank you for listening.